Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Winter has returned here to the Missouri Ozarks, but it looks like, honestly, only for one day.
Right. It is, it's actually not that cold out. I mean, it's kind of obviously wet, snowing.
Right,
It's a
and no
heavy,
wind.
no, it's a heavy, wet snow. Right now, the snowflakes are pretty small, but they've been really big too. It's kind of going back and forth.
Right. Our temperature right now is about 34 degrees, so we're just above freezing. So everything's just, yeah, it's just kind of wet and messy, but I don't think this is going to amount to much. And tomorrow the high is 57, so it's all going to disappear again tomorrow. But we do have work that we need to get done today. So even though it's kind of a cruddy day,
Yeah.
we decided to bring you guys along while we accomplish a few things outside today. I say outside, but really they're kind of inside outside, if that makes sense. The first thing that we need to do is go into the greenhouse. We realize it's been quite a while since we've given you guys an update in there. We also need to harvest some lettuce for our lunch today. So let's go on and get out of the snow and into the greenhouse. Well, it's definitely drier in here than it is outside, which is good. We wanted to give you guys an update. I don't know if we've even done an update since we planted all
I'm
of
not
this
sure.
stuff in the greenhouse, but you can see all of our winter lettuces and everything else that we have planted. We only planted half the greenhouse this winter, but it is all doing fantastic. And even though this is a completely unheated greenhouse, so pretty much it'll warm up during the day, but at night, whatever the temperature is outside, this greenhouse is the same temperature. But you can see that lettuce and all the other things, which we'll go over in a minute, everything is doing great, and it can handle even the below freezing temperatures.
I'll tell you that I was really nervous about these plants when we had that couple week stretch of really cold weather for down here in southern Missouri.
Yeah, we were down in the single digits for a good week, and then in the teens for another week around that.
Absolutely. And so I was a little afraid to come into the greenhouse and look under the row covers that we had on top of this whole row. But when I did, I was really pleased that everything was doing really well. The lettuce didn't have any damage at all on its leaves. There was a tiny bit of damage on some of the other leaves down here, but everything has bounced back wonderfully. We're really pleased with that.
Right. One thing that helps a ton is that we have these what are called flow fans in here. And normally these are running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We just turn them off when we're recording in here so that you guys don't have to listen to them because they are a little bit loud. But these flow fans keep the air moving around in here. And what that does is it stops from the moisture from settling as much and causing frost. So it might get cold in here, but we don't really get frost in here because all of that air is continuing to circulate. So it does help a lot by having the flow fans in a greenhouse. So let's real quick kind of go, bucket by bucket and look at everything. And then we've got some harvesting to do for our lunch today. All right, let's start up here at the front with lettuces. Now, I'll be real honest, you guys, off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact varieties that these are, but we did do a video when we planted them and showed you all the seeds that we planted. So, but you can see this beautiful red lettuce here at the front, and then we kind of have a mix of red and green, and then more green as we get further back. But look how beautiful this lettuce is. And again, this is completely unheated greenhouse. It is, this lettuce can definitely take the temperatures that we get here in our area. And in fact, I feel like it just really thrives in these cool temperatures.
You can see that we've done some harvesting already because it's just so amazing and succulent right now.
Yeah, we try to have a salad at least a few times a week. A lot of days with our lunch. We'll have a decent sized salad with some meat put in it as well. But yeah, we just really enjoy having something fresh to eat over the winter. And here, lettuce is the main thing that we eat fresh over the winter. So after the buckets of lettuce, we move on to bok choy. And you can see that it's growing pretty well. It's a little bit slow this time of year, but it does continue to grow. We aren't harvesting any quite yet, but as we get a little bit closer to spring, this will really start to shoot up and we'll be able to start harvesting this before too long. Every once in a while we'll trim a few leaves off of it to add into our salads, but we're kind of waiting until it gets a little more mature before we do much of that. But you can see we did 2 different varieties of the bok choy this year, a green variety and then a red variety. And then after that, the rest of all of this, on this side closest to me, these are all tubs full of rutabagas, which, since we live a low-carb lifestyle and eat low carbs, we don't eat potatoes anymore, and rutabagas are what we mainly use as a potato substitute. So again, kind of like the bok choy, these are they're growing right now, but we don't expect them to get bulbs or actual rutabagas on until we get closer to springtime. On the other side, this other side here is all turnips, and we also use a lot of turnips. They are also a low-carb vegetable, so we use a lot of turnips. We love turnips just roasted in the oven. We also use them a lot shredded on our salads and things like that. But again, just like the rutabagas, we're not ready to start harvesting yet. We mainly grow them for the bulbs. I know a lot of people grow them mainly for the leaves. We mainly grow them for the bulbs because that's how we like to enjoy them.
Let's do some harvesting of this lettuce so that we can have some with our lunch. Now, we grow this lettuce as a leaf lettuce rather than a head lettuce. Most of these would turn into a head if we let them grow long enough. But we like to use them kind of as like cut and come again lettuce, because if you cut it just above the ground, it will keep growing and producing new leaves. And then it's just kind of an ongoing source of food for you and your family. So I'm gonna start cutting some of these, the plants that have big leaves. Some of them, like this red over here, is beautiful. And I could start cutting this, but it's a little bit harder to do because they're so short. So I'm gonna start cutting some of these lettuces here, and I just gather a handful and then use my knife to just cut above the ground level in a nice handful, just like that. Very easy. And then I'll just move on to another variety. Now, the one thing that's really wonderful about growing lettuce over the winter is that the leaves are so sweet and delicate and tender. They really do make fantastic salads, and there's absolutely no bitterness to the leaves at all, which sometimes in the summer, as the weather is getting warmer, the flavor of the lettuce leaves changes. They like it cool, and so this time of year in our unheated greenhouse, it's just fantastic. This lettuce over here looks so beautiful. Take some from here. Okay. That is the start of a very tasty and beautiful salad.
Well, now that we're done here in the greenhouse for the day, we're not going to water or anything today. We'll do that on a nicer day. Now that we're done in here, we're going to head into the sprout house so that we can check on our seedlings for the day. We have to water in there, see if there are any that are far enough up that we can take the humidity domes off, all of that kind of stuff. We just need to get in there and see what's going on in there for today. Well, it definitely feels good in here. It is 64 degrees in here right now because our heater is keeping it nice and warm. We wanted to show you guys how all of the seedlings are doing, and then we need to get some watering done in here today. Let me turn the grow lights off because I know this purple color is kind of hard to see. We do have our grow lights on timers now so that all of the plants are getting about 12 hours of light per day. And everything is doing really well, you guys. We just planted these a week ago, exactly 1 week ago for the tomatoes and peppers, and then 6 days ago for all of Sarah's herbs and flowers that she did. And you guys, almost everything is up already. So I think that is awesome. Let's start pulling some of these off the shelves and we'll show you guys what we have going. All right, let's start with these over here that are already off of the heat mats. They already have their humidity domes off. You can see that this is a tray full of different brassicas. So we've got cauliflower, cabbage, collards, and Napa cabbage. Everything is already up. I only see a couple that haven't come up, and I bet they still will. Let's take these over to our bench and water these guys and then move on. Now, once the plants get to this size, we like to use these waterers. We made these, I don't know, I think 5 years ago. We've been using the same exact ones. It's just an old Gatorade bottle. You drill a hole in the lid and then take a little piece of vinyl tubing, put it in there, and then you can just use this to water each one of your cells and make sure that everybody gets a good drink. Now, one thing that we've learned from experience is that, like on a tray like this where we don't even have the whole tray planted, like all of these cells down here are empty, we will still water those, because if those dry out, they seem to pull moisture away from your plants as well, and it dries your plants out faster. So we always water even the cells that don't have anything in them. It just seems to help keep everything a little more watered. So those are all done for the day. Let's see what's on the next tray. Oh yeah, the next tray, my favorite tray. These are tomatoes for the greenhouse. So it looks like pretty much everything is up. There's just a few that haven't come up. This last row here was empty, so I'm not worried about that. But it looks like everything is doing well. Soon we will get some fans going in here as well, so that all of these little plants can start to get nice and strong. For right now, whenever we come out here, we just try to run our hands over them, and that helps strengthen them up a little bit. We do have a ceiling fan in here too, which makes a little bit of wind in here, but once everything is up, then we actually have oscillating fans in here that we run so that everything gets nice and strong. So we don't have water out here, but we do just keep a 5-gallon bucket of water in here at a time that we can fill our waterers out of. This time of year, our well is really, really cold. So by keeping a bucket of water in here, this water is a little bit warmer, which is a little bit better for the plants.
The next tray that is up here is a tray of basil. There are 3 different varieties of basil in this tray. There's actually a 4th that I planted, but these were the first to be able to come off of the heat mats from all of the herbs that I planted. And honestly, we had some really great germination here. So we've got standard Genovese basil, holy basil, and cinnamon basil, and they're doing really well. Here's another one of the trays of herbs. Actually, in this one, I decided to plant some zinnia seeds so that I could fill up this tray and not have them just empty. And the zinnias are doing really well. Most of them are up. The parsley generally takes a longer time to germinate. They're not up yet, which is normal and fine. But I have 1 row of marshmallow seeds, and it looks like 2 of them have germinated. So that's awesome. I'm actually going to do kind of a combination watering style here. Those that are up nice and tall, I'll go ahead and use this waterer, but the seeds that haven't germinated yet, I'll use our little sprayer here. Next tray here still has a humidity dome on it because all these guys are either super tiny or haven't germinated at all. Looks like the thyme is germinating. but nothing else has quite yet.
All right, next up is a tray of peppers. And I think these are going to be able to come off of the heat today. When I was out here yesterday, I felt like quite a few of them were up, but I wanted to give them one more day on the heat. It does look like a lot of them are up. You can see here, it looks like pretty much everything is up. At least some of everything are up, except for some reason these California Wonders aren't quite up yet. So hopefully it wasn't a seed issue with those, but we'll find out, I guess. We still have time to replant if we need to. Let's give these a good water, and then I think these will come off the heat today. Well, actually, after looking at these a little closer, I think I'm going to give them one more day to have the humidity dome on and the heat on. I'd like to get some of those California Wonders to start coming up before we take them off the heat, and there were a couple others that are just breaking through the soil. I think they could stand to have a little bit warmer day yet today. The rest of the week is going to be quite a bit warmer outside, which means it'll stay warmer here in the sprout house. So since tonight's going to be cold, let's give these guys one more night on the heat. All right, on to another flat of herbs, which also look like there's quite a bit up. This is echinacea, lavender, and dwarf basil. Looks like the dwarf basil is up. Quite a bit of the echinacea is up, and the lavender is taking a little bit longer to get going. All right, we're going to give these one more day on the heat, or maybe even a couple more days on the heat as well, because when we started looking really close, the English lavender is starting to come up. There are, I'd say, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them that are just starting to break through the soil, which is exceptionally good news because, as Sarah told me, those are hard to germinate, but looks like it's working.
Okay, last tray of the day, and they are also herbs. We have chamomile, sage, and stevia. And of course, the chamomile are overachievers. They always are. So many of them are up. They're doing a great job. I am very, very, very pleased to see some sage seeds have germinated. They are notoriously hard to get to come up, but they're doing a great job. And next we have stevia. Just let me look really closely. They're another one that can be a stinker. There's one that is super exciting. Super exciting. And then I think I see another one over here. We'll have to see. So that is really great news in 6 days. So I'm going to go ahead and water these guys again. They definitely need to stay under the lights and on the heat mats.
Well, that is all we have to do in here for today. Right now, our chores in here are pretty fast. Once we get into farmers market season, then we spend a good amount of time in here every single day. So we'll get the lights turned back on, and then the last thing that we need to do today really is get something ready, which is our brooder area inside of one of our barns. You guys are seeing this video on Valentine's Day, and what I got Sarah this year for Valentine's Day is something that she's been wanting for a long time, which is some Polish crested chickens. Now, the chicks aren't supposed to be, I was hoping I could get them to arrive right on Valentine's Day. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but they are coming either tomorrow or the next day. So, that was Sarah's Valentine's present for today. Or for this year.
You guys, I'm so excited to show you the little chicks and when they come in, and I'm more excited for them to like grow up so we can see all their like funky feathers on their heads. I was aware of the purchase when Kevin put it.
Because I wanted to ask her what colors she wanted and things like that.
Yeah, and honestly, we got just a variety of colors. A lot of hatcheries will have like just like a mix. And so we got a mix of different kinds of Polish breeds. So I'm excited to see them grow up and figure out what we got.
Right. It'll be 10 hens and 5 roosters because you had to order at least 5 roosters. So,
and they're gonna live in Wattlesville,
right,
with the Silkies.
With the Silkies.
Yeah, we're not gonna build another house. They'll all be fine in there together. But I'm really excited to see what they're gonna be like. Those Silkies, I just love them so much. And now you have these Polish for really purely like entertainment.
Yeah, I mean they do provide some eggs.
Sure.
You know, they're smaller eggs and they don't lay consistently year round, but they do provide eggs.
And they have so much character and they're so cute. I can't wait.
So the last thing we need to do is go over to our barn next door and get the brooder area ready so that when they show up in the mail tomorrow, we'll have them all ready to go. All right, so we are in our barn that we use as a brooder area. You can see we have a little box made right here, and we can brood lots and lots of chicks here. We actually have 2 sections like this. One that's right here where we're going to put these chicks that are coming tomorrow, and then one really where the camera is sitting right now, so you guys can't see that. But there's another section just like this so that we can actually brood 2 groups of birds at the same time. For those who may not be familiar, a brooder or brooding birds just means a place that you put them when they're real little, like little baby chicks. Normally they would brood under the wings or under the body of the mom, and she would keep them good and warm. But because these chicks won't have a mom, we will keep them warm with heat lamps, and we'll keep them good and safe and dry. You can also see that in this area I have moved some of my quail for the winter. These are just 2 groups of my breeders. They normally live outside in one of our lean-tos, but over winter I moved them in here just to keep them a little bit safer. Because this was the first winter that I'm also raising some quail out in a hoop coop, I decided instead of kind of putting all of my eggs in one basket, I would keep these in here, and I would also allow the other ones to live in the hoop coop, and I would see how that went over winter. But that way, if say the extreme cold would have killed all of those out in the hoop coop, I wouldn't have lost all of them. I would have still had some to regain my numbers. So far it looks like the hoop coop experiment is going to be a success, and next winter I may not need to do this, but for right now I felt for the first winter this was the safest thing to do. So we're going to get this brooder area set up for the baby chicks that are coming, and we need to make sure that everything is set up so when they arrive in the mail tomorrow, they'll have a nice, warm, dry place to start their life.
Now we have not used either of these brooding areas since last summer, so we have some things to do to get ready for the new chicks to arrive. Now here is the waterer that we're going to use and 2 of the feeders. We're actually not going to fill these up today. We're going to take them into the house, wash them all up, make sure that they're good and clean and sterile before the baby chicks come. Right,
so we'll get those clean today, and we'll bring those back out in the morning before we head to the post office to pick up the chicks.
Right. We do always keep some kind of a pan in here to put the water on so that if they make a mess, the water goes in the pan, not all over the bedding.
Right.
We need to clean that also.
Right.
And then this bedding actually, it needs to be taken out. This is from last time that we had chicks in here.
Right.
You know, things just get busy and we just have to get birds out and move on. And
right. To be honest, this bedding isn't that dirty, but we do want to start with fresh bedding every time we start a new batch of chicks. So we're going to just scoop the old bedding into one of these tubs for today, and we'll actually probably leave it in the barn here somewhere until tomorrow when it's dry outside, so we can then go put it over in the compost pile. We do have linoleum down on the floor in this barn so that it does protect the wood floor, which really does help, and it makes cleanup so much easier. Now that we've got all of the old bedding out, we're going to go ahead and put down a new layer of bedding. Now for chicks, really for all kinds of chicks, we like to use pine shavings for bedding. We've used straw, we've used hay, but we always go back to pine shavings. They just seem to be the easiest to use, and they seem to stay the driest. So I'm not exactly sure. I think we'll use probably about half of one of these. We like to use kind of a medium-sized flake. All right, so that's all we need to do for bedding. I do want to get some heat lamps hooked up, make sure our bulbs and everything are working. And then, other than taking those feeders and waterers in the house and getting those ready, we'll pretty much be all set for these chicks to arrive.
Okay, it looks like we're all ready for those chicks to arrive in the mail tomorrow. I am so excited to see all the little colors of all these little chicks and to see how tiny they're going to be. I can't even remember how small the silkies were when they hatched and when we had gotten some from a hatchery as well. So when we get them, we'll make sure to show you guys and introduce you to them. I can't wait. That will be in another video, but it's just another sign to me that spring is coming, even though we're in the middle of February. It makes it not seem so far away.
Well, we're glad that you guys were able to spend part of the day with us today getting some work done around the homestead. You know, when you're living this kind of lifestyle, just because it's less than an ideal day doesn't mean that you don't have to get some work done. And today, these were the things we had planned to do. And honestly, we had planned to do all of this stuff even before we knew what the weather was going to be like, so we just still had to get it done.
We cannot hide out in the house all the time. Sometimes
Right.
we need to just still get some work done. Hey, you guys, we are so happy that you joined us today to get some things done and kind of prepared for spring, which hopefully is right around the corner. If you're enjoying videos like this, we sure hope that you'll hit that subscribe button. And also remember that the best way to help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.